Okay. I just had a thought while I was doing this, and I figured I'd share it with you because, you know, why not? I mentioned in the video when I put the butterfly mortises in, I was talking about how I wanted to sand everything and erase all the marks on the wood, and I do that a lot. But as I'm doing this, I also had a memory, which I forgot. You know, like I have a website, www.mikezdesign.com, and it's an antiquated website. It's not the best. The work I show on there is old stuff. It's more chunky, blocky, and pretty old. So I don't think it represents my best work, but it does show you the quality of the craftsmanship. What's more important about the website is there's sections. I have like a philosophy of my design aesthetic. I've got a section on there called Design Consultant, which I should be doing more of. And there's a section on how it works, which is in my interaction with you if you're the client, and the back and forth and the sketches and agreeing upon a design. And I typically will charge for that if you're not a repeat customer in particular. If you are, maybe a little less. But I don't know if it's the section. I'll find it and I'll put a link to it in the description of this video. But I mentioned how some of the marks you might find on a piece of furniture from things like using these tools, it does denote a handmade object. And from time to time, I would leave them purposefully so that not all over the place, but at least here and there, because then when you look at it, if you notice it, you'll go, oh, I can see that. That's interesting. And that just lets you know that this was all finished by hand. And, you know, again, I just wasn't thinking about that when I did the video, when I put these in, and I was talking. But as I'm doing it, I'm seeing a little chatter here and there, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? And Andrew, if you're watching this, I hope you're okay with it. I think I want to leave a little chatter. When I say chatter, it'll be like a little mark from the scraper or something here and there, a little imperfection on purpose, because I'll be honest, this is getting to be too perfect. If it gets too perfect, it's like you don't want to use it. This was a problem I ran into with my cutting boards. I did these really elaborate 2¼ inch thick cutting boards years ago, and I sold them for a lot of money. But the problem with it was a lot of people never used them. They just hang them up because they look so beautiful, they're afraid to cut on them. And that becomes a thing. It's almost like you have to put wear marks in it to give you the okay that you can use the object. It's crazy. And what I'm doing right now here is smoothing out these butterfly mortises, and the thing is, I needed to do that if I was going to tip this up on end and put a bevel, like an undercut bevel on this top, which I had discussed. As I'm looking at this now, I think I'm not going to do that. I think I'm not going to do it because this top is already kind of thin, in my opinion. It's thick enough. It looks just right. But in the past, a lot of my work was, you know, this would typically be like a 2-inch thick top. And when you have something that is that massive, which I didn't want to do on this pedestal because I don't think it's smart because it makes it too top heavy. But then you want to undercut the top so that when you walk up to it visually, it looks thinner. It gives an appearance more of floating, but we're going to have that anyhow because, again, it's a pedestal base. I don't need to do that, and I don't think it's worth the aggravation because this top already is thin enough. I'm going to chamfer or roll this edge, and I might take a little bit more off the bottom edge to kind of give you that vibe, but I'm not going to go crazy with that chamfer. That's just, you know, that's just how that is. It doesn't make any sense. It's a waste of time. There's also a risk of a major catastrophe, but because it is so thin, I don't think it matters. I think it's going to look awesome anyhow. So I think that's all I wanted to say right here. Something else will come to me, and if it does, I'll make this a longer video. But for now, all I'm doing here is a lot of work. It's a lot of hand work. This is the last one. So yeah, it's one of those time-consuming things. And I'll give you a quick look at this when they're done. These three are already pretty smooth. And yeah, then I'm going to move on to the base next. So as I was saying, I've been scraping this. I'm making it too perfect, but right there, you see that little bit of chatter? It's very pronounced right here because there's no finish on it, but I'm going to sand a lot, but I'm thinking about leaving a little bit of this in there and a few spots here and there. You won't feel it. You can't even feel that. You can just see it. When the finish gets on, you might notice that if you're really looking for it at different times. But again, this is just my opinion. I think that that sort of thing is what denotes a handmade piece. For those curious, it's a number 80 Stanley, vintage. I mean, it's not that old. They've been making these for a long, long time. I picked this up. This one here is an England made Stanley number 80 cabinet scraper, and it's great for this purpose. Let me show you something else. This is another scraper. This is just a regular old scraper. If you don't know, you got to put a burr on this. You adjust this knob to create this more of a bend the duller this gets. And the holder here is from the company Veritas, and this is I believe it's a Canadian company. Can we read that there? I can't even read. Oh yeah, made in Canada. And it's plastic with brass, and it's a really nice thing. You push it this way. You can also draw it towards yourself. You'll see me using that in both manners. This is great. I've been using this for years. This one here is in some ways better for what I'm doing right now because it rides. It has a face to it that rides on your work, and you're just getting kind of like a little bit of a protrusion there from that blade. This one here, same thing, but it's controlled more by the angle of your wrist, so you have to be careful because you can dig a corner into your work. But I mean, you can see how well used this is. I've been using this forever. But again, I've not been making a lot of furniture over the last few years. Quite a few built-ins, but with the built-ins, typically I'm using poplar because it's going to be painted. Poplar is a great wood. It takes paint real well. It's relatively hard. It's not super hard, but it's great. It works easy, and it's more forgiving. And it's great. So when you're doing something that's just going to show, it's all this walnut, you want to be a little extra careful when you're doing these operations. So yeah, the cool Seiko, which is covered in dust. All right, that's it. main thing I'm trying to do here, I'm actually trying to erase the little bit of chatter you see from the planer, which is very little. That Inca joiner planer produces a very smooth finish, but you can still see it. Most people just sand this. I do intend to do some sanding, but this is better. This is better if you know how to do it. It's difficult because the grain on this piece is running in the opposite direction, so you have to be careful. This one spot's giving me a hard time. It's got to be the direction of the grain. That's why you see me going askew with this. It doesn't bother me that the top moves. It actually helps me in a little way. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but this one spot's giving me a hard time here. Typically, I've got my tunes going right now, which makes it kind of fun. I can't do that on YouTube. There we go, that's getting better. I don't like coming towards this grain. I'd rather kind of allow the little burr on here to catch at the seam, but that's all going away now. There's not much there. So I'll continue with this. I'm getting hot. This is very physical. I think it's time to sharpen this, so maybe you guys will get a little tutorial on how I sharpen my scrapers. I have to do this one as well, so might as well do that for you. And then what you're going to see today as well will be me cutting these curves, which is a little tedious, slightly stressful, I suppose. You know, I've done it enough, so I can feel this. I can feel it. I can feel that this seems slightly high, so I'll take care of that. The rest of this is just pretty great. I could probably leave this alone and really not have any issues with it, but I think I'm going to take, this seems a little high just right here in this spot for some reason. Never rely on your eyeballs. I mean, rely on your eyeballs for overall aesthetic, but when you're tuning, it's your hands. All right, my hands get super smooth from this too because I'm just doing this all day. It's the same thing when you're patching a wall. You're using, you know, compound and whatnot. You have to run your hand over it to feel, to get that flat. I'll even close my eyes. I can tell you right here, it's just a little, just high right here. If I put a straight edge on that, I'm certain it'll reveal that. Yeah, I mean, and when I'm telling you it's high, we're talking, I can feel a 32nd of an inch. That's all it is. Now here, you have to split the difference. That might be as much as almost a 16th right there. It looks a lot. See how high that goes there? That's just because I'm pushing it way beyond. You split the difference there. But see there, that's flat. So it's just right here in that area. Yep. The rest of this is... Yep. And the rest of this is good. It's just this one little spot that I've got to massage. That little massage, you could take an hour. So that's where we're at. But I'm getting hot. It's this game of getting that right angle so I can go across the grain change. Boy, that's feeling... feeling a lot better. It's got to still be out of whack a little bit. I feel like we're a little heavy here. Got to be getting closer. I feel like we're high here now. That's a lot better. I mean, that's so close. Nope. It's like, this is good here. I mean, it's just slightly high right there. I don't even know if I want to mess with it anymore. We're good here. All right, I think what I'll do is where this seam is, I'll massage this a little bit across here, and I'm going to call it good. I can feel a slight highness at this meeting spot. It's totally acceptable. I'm very, very pleased. You know, I don't do this all the time, but when I am doing this kind of work, I'll tell you what, it's a friggin' workout. It'll give you a pump. And the thing is too, it's hours of handwork when you're doing this sort of thing. So you can understand, when I'm making furniture, I'm getting pretty friggin' fit. It's an all-day thing, moving your body to the point where when you get home, you don't want to exercise anymore. You figure you did enough. But you kind of have to do the pull muscles on your shoulders and whatnot to kind of even things out and relieve neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, things like that. So it's I've said it before, the more physical of a job that you have, the more you actually need to exercise. Yeah, I can feel right here now. It's never ending. But it didn't take super long, so. You know, it's like your when you were in high school and your 15-year-old girlfriend said, "Stop touching that. Stop touching it. It's going to lead to more problems." I'm funny to me. See that? Wrong direction. And I definitely need to sharpen this, so you guys will see that soon. All right, we're doing really good here. For the most part. That's very good. That's very good. So a little more massaging, cut the curves, we're golden. All right, this is my website here, and I want to go to, I think it's the philosophy section here, but pretty sure in here I talk about leaving little hand marks on the tools. Well, check that out. That's me in like 1998. What a stud. And then there's a little bio in here. This is a very funny picture. I was 3, and I remember this day. This plane I'm sitting on there, the door opened on the side, and I had little army men and cowboys and Indians, and I was thinking, like, I was trying to redesign the plane. I'm thinking it would be a lot smarter if I could pop the whole top off of this thing so that I could put my little army men and cowboys and Indians inside of it. And as I'm having this thought and I'm trying to work out how to do it, my mother's going, Michael, 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 because she wanted to take this picture. So that perturbed look on my face is, hey, lady, leave me alone. I'm involved in my own thoughts here. So, that's me without a beard. Yeah, just in case. Now you know why I grew the beard, because I was getting way too much attention. Anyhow, there's that. There's how this works. Sorry, you click on that there, and this is, the process of dealing with you. I talk about, I typically take 2/3 up front. The design consultant section is something you should read. It's pretty good stuff, and I used to do that as well. Anyhow, just wanted to show that to you. But yes, www.mikezdesign.com. Check it out. I forgot to mention here the showroom. So there's I got functional art and utilitarian. That's a chicken coop. And if you click here, it'll take you to a bunch of work. I believe if you click on a piece, Johnson's coffee table. No, I thought it might take you to the Facebook page, but I guess it doesn't. There might be a way for it to happen. Anyhow, if you go to the utilitarian furniture, then this is just like, home improvement type stuff and other goofy stuff. And, at the time, this was the stuff that I had pictures of. It wasn't all my best stuff. It was just a lot of stuff I did. This is a pretty amazing piece I did for a toy company. That was a real job. Look at that guy. It's like 20 years ago. Anyhow, now I'm done. So, this little teeny tiny bit of a curve I want to do is just not enough for the tool to work. I need to put so much of Curtis for it to barely work that it won't work. So I'll show you what I'm doing here. Bow, 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 bow. So what I did is I found center on each side here, and I'm going to go 1 inch off of center, either side. I'm going to put a line down the face. What I've already done is I set my square to 1/4 of an inch. So I've got a little, I'll show you this close up in a moment, but I've got a little X here. That's going to be my starting point here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this straight edge, and I'm going to go from that little X at the 45 to my pencil line here, and I'm going to draw a straight line. Same thing here. There's other pencil lines there. You want to make sure that you're getting it to the right one. What we're doing here is, I've done it before. I've got other videos. I got one that's called Design on the Fly. Same exact thought process, which is I come up with these ideas as I'm working the project. It's not something that you think of beforehand most of the time. I mean, the curve idea, obviously, I had, but how I'm going to pull this off is very, very different from what I imagined I would have been doing. So, again, 1 inch on either side of center. Get myself some registration marks. This doesn't have to be perfect. I'll explain why in a moment. So again, X to the line. And the cool thing about this is going to be, I'll be able to use my Makita handle saw with my Festool track, aluminum track, and lay it right on here, and every one of these is going to be exact. And you're thinking, wait a second, you're drawing straight lines. How are you going to cut a straight line and achieve a curve? Some of you are smarter than that. You're already like, oh, I see what he's doing. So what'll happen is I'll be cutting off like such a tiny point here, and here. And then I'll take my belt sander and I'll just along this edge, and I'm going to eyeball that, and it's going to come out perfect. I'll show you, man. I don't know if I'll be able to, if you'll be able to see it. It's going to be subtle. See the lines here. You can see how that line goes right to the outside edge at center, and then it starts coming back in. It goes back to the X on this corner here. Right? And that's going to give me just a subtle little pillow shape to this tabletop. It's going to make it far more interesting visually, and it's an aesthetic. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. Looking for my little whisk brush. It is hard to see the line. I love this tool. Cordless is amazing. All right. That's funny. You cut one off when you do it, so you have to make sure you're getting to the right one there. You want to get the dust off because the rubber needs to grip. The rubber on the bottom of this thing here. That's it. That's it, man. Can you see it? Oh, yeah. That's super cool. Can you see that on camera? I don't think you can. So 6 minutes, right? It's very subtle. Very subtle. That's exactly what I wanted to do. And of course it's perfect. So I'll take the belt sander right now and I'll just roll over this nice and easy. That'll be a little bit of a workout. Then I'm going to knock this top corner down, right, for comfortability when you're leaning on it. I do have a 45-degree router bit that I'm considering running on this bottom edge, but I don't know if I'll do that. But man, that looks... I don't think this reads on camera. I don't know if you guys can really see that subtle little curve there. I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the background, but very cool detail. Tell you what, man, the weather here in Los Angeles cannot make up its mind. It was chilly this morning. Then before lunch, the sun came out and it was nice and cool, or excuse me, warm. Now it's getting chilly again. And this right here, it smells as good as it looks. It's amazing. It's amazing. I don't always stop to realize like how lucky I have it. Let's get to this. I like it. It reminds me, it's reminding me of a particular watch case. I'm hoping I can think of the brand of watch that does this. So it kind of comes up and slight point here. I really like it. Happy accidents. You know, I mention the universe all the time. It seems like it's on my side. Right now I'm just eyeballing this corner, and I'll tune that up with a sanding block, I think. Well, that one needs a little more adjustment. Pretty good. All right, I'm just jamming out here. So I'll tune this with a block. It's funny, what you just saw me do, that scares a lot of people. When I was young, you know, right out of the service, I started work with this company, and we built houses from the ground up. And we started off, we had a backhoe and everything else. I learned how to operate all that stuff. And we dug footings, and it was sandy. So we had to build forms, and then we poured the footing, did all the block work, framed the house and everything, all the way to the finish. And I learned how to do laminates. I learned how to do, you know, Formica laminate and putting the edge on. And I used to, you know, build up these blanks for your countertops and double up with plywood. And I do the same thing with the belt sander and get those curves. They have to be perfectly 90 degrees. So I learned early on about being very careful with the belt sander, making sure you're doing this right. And then with that, you'd have to test it with a square and everything, because you know, you have to put your edge band on first, then put the top on. This way the seam was on the edge, not the top. Amateurs put the top on first and then put the band on, because that's how that'll peel off quicker, because shit can get in there. I just cursed. Anyhow, there's your curve, your little bit of a, and it's not as much like a curve as it is like a bump out. Sorry, which I really, man, I kind of like it. I really like that vibe. It's very cool. So there it is, just a very subtle thing, and it helped me dress the edges, which they needed. And now you can see that beautiful ribbon grain here. Just the one side that has a little bit of sapwood in it. I don't know if you're going to see any more of this today, although I did threaten to show you how to sharpen a one of these things here, the blade in this. I don't know if I'm going to get to that today, because I really want to focus on this. I think I'm just going to end this here. You guys have seen enough of this. I don't feel like I need to do a video on this every single day. I hope that doesn't bum you out. But I want to just, when I stop to talk to you, those minutes add up, right? At the end of the day, it could be an hour of time of me flapping my gums instead of getting work done. I really want to get this done. So I will talk to you all later. Thanks for being here. Hope you dig it. And, you know, come back again. Try to help one another out once in a while, all right? Bye.